Welcome to the Synthcast.
Hey! Welcome to episode one.
Oh, bummer.
Welcome to
man, look.
episode 100 of the Synthcast. Today, my guest is pioneer of the synth scene. Gordo Dirk Schneider.
This is the time on Synth Podcast when we dance.
Wait, are we
Welcome
live?
to Sprockets. Are we up and running?
I mean, I hope that's how we started the episode.
We're up and walking.
Oh, that is definitely how we started the episode.
Yeah.
Hey!
Can we use take two?
No, it's live. There's no retakes, man.
Use take two.
Remember, Mikey, there are like hundreds of millions of people watching this right now. You say something really horribly offensive, it's badly on you forever. This is live.
There are hundreds of millions of people that are capable of watching this right now. Yes.
Think about your children, Mikey.
Think about your children.
The children.
Hey, welcome to episode 100. Guys, it's episode 100 of the motherfucking podcast.
We made it. We did it. It's happening.
Definitely did. Wait, what's going on?
It's just doing double.
Oh, it's doing double. Oh, that's fun.
Are we doing
we
double
can use
time?
take two. So take two does work.
If you're reading
it's
along,
like echoing.
if you're reading along with the subtitles, Aaron just introduced and said, "Welcome to the asterisk podcast."
I want to put like an echo mic so that way your subtitles just pick up echoes the whole time.
Say it again.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Is
That'd
it
be a
still
lot of
doubling?
Doubling, tripling.
No, that sounds right.
Doubling.
Triple.
Yeah, no, that's working, right?
Skeet?
Why is that not working? What do you mean?
Why is that? No.
Yeah, I only hear
Skate.
him one time.
Skip. Yeah.
Yeah.
I only hear from time. Yeah.
I hear time.
I'm just titles as I see them come across my stream.
Okay, yeah. Fuck it, we're doing it live. All right, welcome to episode 100
We're doing it.
of the motherfucking podcast.
Woo!
Guys, 100 episodes.
Congratulations.
This is a big deal, man.
It is
Cheers to all you MFers.
It is a big deal, man. 100 episodes. That's a major milestone. It took a lot of showing up and sitting down with our friends to get this far. And and I know Ethan. Hey, let's give a round of applause to Ethan Klein for troubleshooting all the tech issues, trying to make it work. He has been sitting next to me here swearing for the last 2 hours, just like getting so mad about what's
Even
going
when
on.
I couldn't hear you, I could just see asterisk, and I knew that somebody was cursing.
So for the kids at home that don't know what's going on, you have a filter on your Skype, which I won't let me turn mine on, and I'm sad about it. So that's what we're talking.
I'm reading the subtitles for for everything that everybody's saying.
He sees asterisks in his own head because he doesn't like curse words.
Right.
Little grows up, and she's kind of in a sheltered environment, and her mom puts a V chip in her head.
Oh, right. Like the barking dog, like the mean dog walking by, and instead she just sees like a puppy. The blurry dog.
Yes. I love Black Mirror. It's so good.
which I thought was pretty interesting. Anyway,
she asterisks her boyfriend like on camera, and her mom sees her asterisking, and it's highly emotionally distressing to her mom to see them asterisk.
I'm still on dial-up, so all mine looks blurry anyways.
Blurry to Mikey in general. Dude, Mikey, this whole time
I thought it was supposed to look.
I thought you had a one-hitter in your hand, and you just had a pen that you were twirling around. I was like, damn. Mikey likes to cut loose when he's at home with the kids.
Totally.
Hey, welcome to episode 100 of the motherfucking podcast. This is, of course, the official podcast of the international power rock combo motherfucking Ruckus from Denver and Chicago, respectively. I'm Aaron Howell.
I'm Gordo G. Gordon.
Yeah, Gordo is up in this bitch. And I'm very happy to introduce our guest for our 100th episode. We promised this episode to him. This is like the guy who has made it possible for the podcast to go to the next level. He's the one who has really provided us the space and the resources and the gear and the time and the support in order for us to make this happen. And he also, if any of you guys have ever seen the Dirty Half Dozen DVD that came with the live album that we did, Mikey actually co-created that, co-directed it with me. He's a very old friend of mine and ours, and a guy who has supported art and music through video and supported the independent action sports community, and is now helping the new burgeoning weed world create content for the world. Please welcome to the show my very good friend, founder and CEO of the Nug Nation Studios and creator of the Nug Nation animated series. Please welcome Mikey Peterson to the show.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm like waiting for applause, and I'm like, all right, it's just the three of us.
That was quiet. I don't know how I follow up with an intro that long. Aaron, you're awesome.
That certainly was very long.
And just for, I want to say that when you said Gordo was up in this bitch, it actually read as birch. So I'm up in this birch right now. So
I'm jealous.
It's exciting.
I kind of want to put on the subtitles. I don't know if
I tried. It wouldn't let me. So
I highly recommend it.
In all actuality, I am super proud of you guys. I said if you guys ever made it to episode 100, that is the episode I want to be on, because it is such a big milestone for you guys, for everybody. That's you've been after it, man. Every week you have not faltered. You've always found a way, even if guests have fallen off or there's been technical difficulties, as we always see it happen. You always power through, and you've made it. You have never missed a day, and it's amazing to me.
I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's a shitload of work. You know, but it's like the only way you're going to get better at anything is by just showing up and doing it. You know what I mean? Like it, and
true.
And I never knew that when I was younger, I guess. You know, how important it is just to show up. Like, and you know, you hear the quotes about, you know, the hardest part is showing up, or 90% of it is just arriving, or whatever, you know, any iteration of that. But it's really true. If you just show up day after day, week after week, month after month, you will improve on it, even if it's frustrating and annoying at the times that you do show up. And I know that that's been the case with, you know, the Nug Nation. You've shown up every day, no matter how fucked up or touch and go that it's been, and you've gone to some amazing places and accessed some people that I would never hope to be able to access in 100 years, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But I'm like, one of the main reasons we want to do this on episode 100 is because when we initially started talking about it, I think at like episode 50, we discussed how excited we were going to be to see where everything we've been doing, how far everything we'd been doing would have come by 100 episodes. You know, because it would have been basically a year later. So, first of all, let's give a little background about how we know each other. So,
I'd love to touch on Chris.
Yeah. So the way that I know Mikey is
Let's
one
see
of those.
if you remember it right.
Well, see, here's the thing, dude, is I don't remember being introduced to most people. I just remember that. I mean, that's just a fact. Like, it's one of those things where you just, like, know that you've known someone and you've always known them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Oh, you know what? I think I'm hearing the
But I can.
Facebook Messenger notification coming in. I keep hearing, like, this, like,
really?
audio, like,
Bing.
notifications coming in like that. Wow.
It's probably
Wow.
Well, good. You know how popular we are live.
Yeah, I know. People are
I
going.
heard it 5 times.
Yeah, people are going, your stream looks like shit.
Nice.
What are you guys
terrible.
doing?
Looks
Well,
bad.
get better internet then, people.
No, okay. So I think if I remember correctly, you and I met at Sock's place because you were around at Sock's place a lot, shooting video for like the hardcore scene, right?
Yes, you're right. You're halfway right.
Okay, how did
You're
we
halfway
meet,
right.
Mikey?
This is even before Sock's Place started popping off as a venue, more or less. This is before they started doing a lot of music stuff in there. Jordan and his family. But what it was the Jesus Saves ramp.
Oh,
So
right.
I was either still in high school or directly out. I can't really remember. This is over 10 years ago. And there's been a couple of different variations of the Jesus Saves ramp, right? This was the first variation where it was only the half pipe on the back side of the warehouse.
Okay.
And I was skating it me, Mark Frank Montoya, pro skateboarder and snowboarder, good friend. Is before I really even knew him. He was just a guy with posters on my walls when I was a kid growing up. But I was skating with him, and then one other gentleman. I'm trying to remember his name. Big in the music scene. It'll come back to me later. But you guys were playing behind the ramp. Remember, this is before they built the bowl, right?
This is before.
And then you guys start playing in the middle of the bowl.
This is like before Joe Hendricks took it over, and this was the guy who had it before.
Yep.
Right.
And so it was just a half pipe, and you guys were playing on the backside of the half pipe and when you guys were 4th year freshmen. And that is when I met you, was that night. Pretty well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then Sock's Place, I'd say 6 months to a year later, Sock's Place started doing a bunch more shows and hardcore shows. I think it was when Memphis had started finally promoting shows and bringing stuff through.
Right.
And that's where we started connecting more at Sock's Place.
Okay. See, man, that time is just like, that is like ancient history to me. It literally, like people talk about like having an experience, and it like, you get this a lot with like people who've like been to war or like survived trauma or been in like a hostage situation, and it's like they talk about like, yeah, it just feels like it happened to someone else. You know what I mean? And that's like, when I think back about that period of time, it really does seem like it was something that happened to a completely different person. But now that you're mentioning that, I do remember that, of course. The fucking old Jesus Saves warehouse. Man.
Yeah.
Man. Were you doing video at that point already, or were you just skating?
So back then I was just skating. I hadn't quite dived into a lot of the music stuff, but that's around the time I started coming around the music industry with my brothers, with Tim and Chris.
Right.
And as I started watching these bands and going to these shows, that's when it clicked on me, because I'd already been creating video, right? I've been creating video since I was 10 years old.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to start filming some of these because these are awesome. And then lo and behold, nothing was being documented about that. So we decided to start a documentary about the Denver music scene. And so we just started going and filming literally, I think, every single punk and hardcore show you could imagine that came through town, whether it was traveling local groups or big acts that came through. And we started interviewing bands and started shooting shows. I literally have, and back then, this is saying a lot, terabytes of footage of just shows, all on tape too. This is before digital cams and everything. So I literally have.
Oh, you had like tape of this? What? Really?
Oh yeah, I have a drawer a nightstand in my storage unit that is literally like maxed out and filled with hundreds of mini DV and high 8 video cassette tapes of nothing but Denver shows.
Wow.
It's wild.
And you never really did anything with it. Like the documentary didn't end up working out, right? It kind of balled out of control. Like it kind of
it got out of control because we were documenting so much stuff, and at the time it was changing so fast. The local music scene was changing so fast that I couldn't keep up with it. And I was like, God, by the time I finish it and edit it, this is going to be completely obsolete.
Right, because of the life cycle of a band. Because of the life cycle of a band. It was years long project, and it was like, God, the only guys that were standing the test of time were you guys under a different name by you. It was fourth year freshman, and then it was fourth year, and now it's MF Ruckus. So even in that, but I think like the longest standing ones that we had that we were following were like Frontside 5, King Rat, and who else would be one of the OGs that are kind of still around? I don't even know if those guys are still around. Frontside 5 still comes out once in a while. But most of the people in those bands have moved on to other projects. Like Bart McCrory's doing Throttle Bomb and Messiah Vor, and whatever collab project he's got going on at the time. He did that Battle Axe collaboration or whatever. Gordo, what was the name of that thing? Was it the Battle Axe collab? Was that what it was called?
The Blood Axe.
Blood Axe collab,
I believe.
Yeah, is what it was called. Yeah, it was really cool. And then,
according to the, I gotta say, according to the subtitles, Voron was involved somewhere in there.
I love that you're gonna keep going back to that.
Well, I have to that's the only commentary I'm good for here. Like, if I can really just tell you guys, give you guys a blow by blow of what's happening here on my screen, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it,
dude. It's like we talked about the assistive audio feature on movies where it like pauses the scene and describes what's going on. Like you're doing that, but with subtitles. Like if somebody was in the room and was blind and couldn't see the subtitles, you could like read the subtitles to them, and for some reason they couldn't hear what was coming off the actual stream. I don't know.
There are three men in different locations with headphones, and they're all talking at each other.
What are they saying? Let's see. They're saying anger go longer.
They're saying anger go longer.
No, but then Brooke and Rob Dog and Shane from Frontside, they are doing the trade-ins now, and we just played with them not too long ago. So they're still all active, like a lot of lifer musicians tend to be.
Yeah, and most everybody is in the scene.
But hardcore bands and like young punk rock
hardcore
bands.
Was even worse.
Right.
Yeah, the hardcore scene, because you had your punk rock bands, the hardcore scene, and some other kind of random groups. We were trying to follow a lot of things in the local Denver music, so it was more than just hardcore. But hardcore band life cycle was even worse.
Right.
They'd be in 1 week, out the next.
Right.
It was like we couldn't keep up, and it was just one of those things where it kind of just got a little overwhelming. And then I got so heavy into the action sports world, and it was easy to create action sports videos because it had an indefinite timestamp of when you could be done.
Right.
It's seasonal. I know I have from October to August to film the movie, and then I have 3 months to edit it before it starts over again. So it was a lot easier getting into the action sports world and creating documentary and feature films because it actually had a cutoff date.
Right.
I created this music documentary that never had a cutoff date, and they kept changing. It was like every 6 months we'd have to revamp. Oh man, this band isn't even alive anymore, and now all the members hate each other, and they don't want to be in the same interview in the same video.
Right. So having any sort of narrative is like impossible, right?
Yeah.
Like following any.
So it was.
But I mean,
tricky.
that could be the whole thesis. You really ought to dig all that stuff up and just put it out as like a retrospective, and I don't know, maybe talk about the individual groups just in the context of the one interview that you did with them. Obviously, since you like, that's one thing that is kind of archetypal of young scenes like that, whether it be the hardcore scene or the punk rock scene. Like, bands just have such a short life cycle, and you can see a band that is like immensely popular with a group of young people, and then they're broken up within a year, and the like people don't even talk to each other anymore, especially in the hardcore world.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I enjoyed it. I met some of the best people in my life, people like you and Zach, and people that we met in that world that literally shaped who we are as adults, right? These were the first group of people, and you all were the first scene of people that we met out of high school. I didn't go to college, and neither did my brothers. It's not like we had that experience in life. So it's like that was the start of the first influence that we had in our peers amongst living in the real world, right? You're kind of sheltered and don't know shit through school. You're kind of blanketed by whatever your parents allow you to see what's in the real world. So that was our first experience, and it was beautiful, man. Those are some of the best friends that I have and I'll have for life because of being a part of it.
It's, I do think that there's something to be said for the old ritual of like young people going off to do something. You know what I mean? Whether it's, in most cases it's been military service because there's always been wars going on, or going off to seminary or going off to study at a conservatory or whatever it is, these ancient ideas of someone like going away and quote unquote learning a thing or two about the real world. Like, I feel like being in a band was college for me, was military service for me, was Peace Corps service for me, was, it was the way that I learned how to have social relationships. It's the way that I learned to work with groups. It was the way that I learned to, how social dynamics work. It was the way that I I learned how to get along with people, and I expanded my knowledge of the different types of people that are out there.
Some people go into the Peace Corps, some people go into the hardcore.
There you are. There you are, Gordo. Thanks.
There he is.
There he is. No, yeah.
Thanks for chiming in.
Yeah, no, and I absolutely. Like those times, as rough around the edges as they might have been, were definitely some of the most fun times of my life, man. And it's like I've known you so long. Like I said, I don't even remember how we became acquainted and how we became friends. Like you had to tell me about it. It's just been that long, you know what I mean? And so interwoven. So tell me a little bit about your time in the action sports world, because that's where you spent a great deal of your time developing your skills in the action sports world, right?
So I've been skateboarding since I was 8, 9, I don't know, all my life. And
snowboarding too, or just skating?
Both skateboarding and snowboarding, right? And so as I got older and kind of got into my teens, started getting a little bit better, and was fairly decent, decent enough to start riding for a local skate shop, TS Board Shop.
Oh, I didn't know that. Time.
I started off skating for Brian and Kendra at TS when I was 16.
That's really cool. I had no idea.
And rode for the shop for a couple of years. And then I was headed in a different direction out of high school. I graduated high school early. High school wasn't very difficult for me. I picked up on stuff pretty quickly. So I graduated early. In my initial direction, I was going to school to be an EMT. Had some stuff happen, had a death in the family that kind of rearranged some of my thought process and what I wanted to do in life. And I decided that I wanted to get into entrepreneurship and do kind of my own thing, my own business. I've always had a knack for, I don't want to say a knack for making money, but a knack for wanting to make money.
Right. No. And I remember that was a major turning point when you started to get really serious about the business and the entrepreneurial side of your art.
Yeah. Cause I was, I started a blank skateboard deck company back in high school, a clothing company. When I was 10 years old, I was spending the weekends stealing my dad's lawnmower to go and mow lawns, and then, get yelled at when I'd come home. It'd be like, where the hell's the lawnmower? And there's no more gas in it.
You used to steal your dad's lawnmower to go mow lawns?
Yeah. And he couldn't get that mad at me. At the same time, he was kind of impressed. He was like, well, at least you're.
Right. How mad can you get about that?
That's good.
Yeah. So I've always just kind of been like that, and so I wanted to continue doing that. So the skate shop led a perfect opportunity to basically go and learn just business in general. These were, Brian and Kendra were shop owners that started it themselves. They were their own bosses, ran their own business, and it was, in the world that I wanted to be in, where my first passion is, action sports. So started working for them. Very shortly after, became the shop general manager, then became the team manager, and then I had a video background, so I started skating and filming all of the skateboard and snowboard team. And before you know it, that led into this whole crazy direction of making action sports films. And it's kind of funny the way it worked out. And this wasn't a decision because of it being so bad. But after the passing of my dad, what had happened was, we were partying a lot, as you would right out of high school, or kind of,
I can't imagine you partying a lot, dude. I just can't imagine you partying a lot. I've always known you as just like such a serious dude,
Yeah. So,
and you've never been a big drinker or drug dude either, right?
Well, here's the thing. At 17 leading into 18 years old when this happened, this is when I started meeting the music people, right? And he started meeting people that were straight edge and just kind of a different lifestyle or a different way of doing it, and how all these people could coexist, right? You had the punk rock people on one side of the aisle drinking their faces off, throwing beers at shows and whatever. You had the hardcore scene on the other side of the aisle. Half of them are straight edge and clean cut and everything, but these worlds coexist and everyone's friends and family. Mm-hmm. And I learned this kind of, and especially in action sports, it was one of these things of like, you know what? You don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be drinking and partying to fit in. Like, everyone can coexist and have fun and be part of that same group of people, right? It's not really the way you learn in high school. You learn in high school by clicking together. And I don't know. So what had happened was, I told myself, when the skate shop hired me, I was like, you know what? This is the greatest opportunity for me. I get to work in a skate shop and make money. I get to make money by going to a skate shop every day and just like hanging out and building skateboards. I was like, I don't want to mess that up.
Right.
So I'm going to chill out for a little bit. I'm going to take a break. I don't want to be waking up hungover and sleep in and not be able to open the shop because they gave me the keys to open. Like, I didn't want anything dumb like that to happen. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to kind of relax for a little bit and chill out and not party and just kind of see what happens from there. So it wasn't a conscious decision to like, oh, I'm just done doing this. It was like, I'm just going to chill out because I don't want to mess this opportunity up.
You just had something bigger that was more important that you took very seriously.
Yeah, I had responsibility.
You made a very adult decision, in other words.
Yeah. And then I made this
adult decisions. What the fuck are those?
Rule, and this is where it all changed, right? I gave myself this rule of anytime somebody asked me to hang out, like actually go party, right? Go, hey, we're going to this person's house or we're going out tonight or whatever. I made the rule anytime someone called and told me that, I automatically told them I already had plans, and I'd force myself to go skate that night, like at Denver Skate Park, because it was one of the only night parks at the time. So I just went and skated every time. So every night I was going skateboarding, and skateboarding went from like here to here in a matter of a year. Like, got insanely better in a very short amount of time because that's all I was doing was just skating, and I just stopped hanging out and partying. So and this is how the action sports filmmaking got big, was there was every time a pro skater or pro skate team would come into town, right, they would look for places to film, and they would look for filmers, and they would look for shops. So they would call the local shops or their local sales rep from that company, and they would, they'd put feelers and reach outs to who was able to show these pro skaters around. And very shortly,
like my name started type of thing.
Yeah, but my name started being the only one put in the pot every single time. These reps and these skate people or people in the community would be like, oh yeah, if you want to go film and actually get real work done, call Mikey P over at TS. That's your guy. He's going to wake up on time. He'll keep everyone in line. He'll actually go film. He's not looking to party or like distract. If you're looking to get work done, call that guy. And that's what happened. I started getting to skate and film with all these bigger names, and it just eventually snowballed into this full-time skating and snowboarding and filmmaking in the action sports world, to where I left the shop to do that full-time and start making films. And it was all just kind of chopped up from a decision to just like chill out for a little bit. So I ended up being sober
just your
for
decision
11
to be a
years.
pro.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
in
10,
that
11
case,
years, I never touched a thing. And then, just every now and then I'll have a glass of wine and smoke weed, but that wasn't until just a few short years ago that started coming into play again.
I've smoked weed with you one time. We never drank together. You came on tour with us. Like, you came on tour with, at that time, easily the hardest partying band in Denver, at least. At that time. At least in the state. And, dude, you did none of it. You didn't drink anything. You didn't smoke anything. And I guess at that time, I just assumed that you were, like, culturally straight edge. Like, you were involved in the straight edge scene, and that was specifically why you didn't do it. I guess I just never asked you about it.
No, yeah. It was just from hey, life's going good, and all these opportunities started popping up because of it.
Why mess
and
with
so
a
I'll just
good
keep that
thing?
going.
Why mess with a good
Exactly.
thing?
And it became something, almost like an identity thing. It's kind of what I was known for, right? But opportunities kept popping up because of it. Like, that's what it was. I was like, all right, well, I'd much rather get paid to skate and film and snowboard with the best riders in the world that I've looked up to my whole life than go have a drink and smoke weed and be unreliable source for people. So
right.
So I have to break in here and say that according to the text of the conversation, 1,011 years you never touched their thing, and I find that highly entertaining and interesting. That's all I can say.
Look, thank you, Gordo.
Thank you, Gordo.
Thank you for translating.
It's endlessly entertaining to hear what you're saying and then to see it regurgitated in such a wrong way. It's fascinating.
So wait, okay. I know what you would be for. Someone sitting there reading the subtitles is like if you are hearing impaired and illiterate. Like, if you're hearing impaired and illiterate, like, Gordo will come to your house and just read the...
If you want to know exactly what not the fuck is going on in this conversation,
but then
I'm your guy.
But then you would have to read Gordo's lips because you're hard of hearing, hence why you have subtitles in the first place. So Gordo just looks you in the face and enunciates everything that he reads on there.
That's amazing.
I'm taking screen captures of the best ones so I can share it later. So
So yeah, dude, that's really interesting to hear. Like, I seriously, I always thought that you were like a guy who never got into it at all, never partied at all. And what led to you ending up getting these more serious gigs? I mean, I can speak from personal experience that the reason that I know we contacted you is you had a reputation for being like the guy who knew his shit about film and video. You know what I mean? And like everybody, like every band needs someone to at the very least sit there and hold a camera for them while they're playing. You know what I mean? Everybody needs someone to like stand there and hold the camera for them while they're snowboarding or skating. They can't do it themselves, right? And so then there's certain people who just get really, 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 really good at that and master the craft and learn everything about all the technologies that go into it and how to make it look really good. And if you find someone like that and they're not a flake and they aren't prone to getting drunk and they're easy to hang out with and they smell good and have a giant penis, like, you've pretty much got... You got
a match made in heaven.
That's everything. That is the perfect package in a videographer.
Boom.
Oh man, it blanked out penis.
It blanked out penis. Why does Skype have a problem with the word penis?
I don't know. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk.
Let's try this.
Sure.
Let's try this. Micro penis.
Yeah. Micro asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Hilarious.
So,
please continue.
So Mikey, what happens after you start making videos around the Thrifty Stick community? Is this when you start creating 611 and directing your own videos, or is this like long before that?
Yeah. So, as we kind of get further, like I said, we started skating or filming the skate and snowboard team full time. And that's when 611 came into effect because we started making full-length videos. Part most of it was the Thrifty Stick team, but we started bringing on other writers and everything else. So it kind of just became not really shop videos, if you will, because it kind of had a combination of other shop kids and other local writers. So that's where 611 spawned from, was from creating shop videos to creating my own crew and my own team out of whoever I considered the best in town, to start traveling and doing our own thing with. And once it was officially kind of 611 in my own videos, that's when I started breaking away from the shop from that regard and just kind of filmmaking full time. And so did that for 5-6 years. We did 5 feature length snowboard films, and then got to work with you name it, I've got to work with them, right? From Red Bull to Mountain Dew, Nike, Burton, all the biggest names in the world, and working with different writers. So I just kind of
through 611 stuff, really?
Yes. Yeah.
I had no idea that you worked with all those companies.
Yeah, and it was, whether it was our own specific projects with their involvement somehow, or being contracted for, days to come and film or lead support on stuff, like there's a bunch of different variations of how I worked with a bunch of people. But all of it literally just spawned from doing our own thing. And we had our crew had a very unique aspect to it. And we heard this from several, industry people in other states, right? Other sales reps from the industry. And we treated what we did like the big boys did. And a lot of local crews do that. So you had all these local films, if you will, and local writers and local filmmakers creating a movie all year, which is them just going into the park and going down the mountain and filming each other do all that. And having a video premiere at the end of the year at Shotgun Willie's or a bar that nobody actually pays attention at, right? They just throw it on the screens and it's an excuse to go and drink.
Right.
And then you have us come in and the way we did it, and you're attest to this, right? I learned the scene. This is exactly why we launched and did it this way. When we started putting out films, we rented venues and theaters and big screens with huge gatherings of people where when the video came on, everyone stopped partying, stopped drinking, sat in their seats, looked at the show, and watched what was happening.
Eventize it.
And we were the only...
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were the only local crew to do this. You had the big boys come in when Burton or Red Bull would come through and do their movie premieres, and they would do it like that. But no one did it from a local standpoint because nobody had the capacity to pull in 1,000 people into a venue or several thousand people into a venue off local names that no one's heard of. We were.
Right.
Because the beauty about Denver and Colorado is Colorado people love Colorado shit. So
ain't that
we have a local community. We have a local community that actually was pumped on a crew out of Colorado running our own video premieres, and they would treat it like it was one of the big shows for the year that you could go and watch. Right. And we would talk to other sales reps that would come through, and they're like, that is crazy that you guys pull these kind of numbers and do these kind of movies and shows, because we don't see that anywhere in the country. Mm-hmm. We don't see it anywhere else. Unless people have a lot of sponsors and big budgets, they're not doing the films like you guys are doing, because we were spending the time and the dollars, my credit card essentially, making those films.
Are we on everything? Yeah, it says we're at 4. Yeah. Look, there we are. Okay.
And we're back.
And we're back. Sorry, little momentary technical difficulty. Hopefully, none of you watching the stream even saw it. But anyway, Mike, continue. Like you guys are like eventizing these premieres that you're doing. And I remember because you had us on the soundtrack for one of them. I don't even remember what song it was, but you had us on the soundtrack for one of them, and you guys did it at the Gothic Theater. And I remember being really impressed by what an event it was. You know, it wasn't like I said, like you mentioned earlier, it wasn't like a party at Shotgun Willie's where the video's just kind of playing in the background and everybody's just getting fucked up. It's like the express purpose of being here is we're all going to sit down and we're going to watch this video premiere. Like it was a big deal. It was like a gala event.
Yeah, that's a good.
Gala. What is it?
Gila.
Gila monster.
Gila.
So yeah, we just, we even though we were nobody, we took it serious, right? We took everything as serious and professional as we could because we put a lot of work into it. There's a lot of work, time, and money, and we wanted to, have our night. And we toured doing that type of stuff too. Obviously, Denver's were the best nights, but we toured these videos.
You guys took
to
the videos
venues,
on tours?
all over the
Really?
Yeah, we went on tours.
I didn't know that.
Where we'd go and play, up in Seattle and in the South or in the Northwest, and we'd play, Tahoe and Salt Lake, and we would travel around and do movie premieres in different cities when the videos came out.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. Kevin Smith did that recently with the new Jay and Silent Bob reboot. He
Yep.
took the film on the road and showed it to people. And that's something that I want to start doing with the comic series. You know what I mean? Is eventizing just the the motion comic premiere in a way. You know what I mean? Instead of doing it at a venue with a stage where there's rock and roll shows going on, people are just getting wasted and not really paying attention anyway. Make it into an event where people specifically go to hang out. Gordo, you said you got really a really great response from your listening party that you did, right?
Yeah, we did. It was really fun.
And where did you guys?
All we did was spid records at Bowman's. I just set up all my DJ gear and brought some records, and Terry brought his records, and Josh brought a record, I think, and we had records all around us, so it was fun. We just played some of our favorite records, and we played our record a few times over the course of the night. It was only supposed to be 2 hours. It ended up being 4 or 5. Yeah. And I pretty much never left the turntables. I just sat there and DJ'd all night. It was a lot of fun.
People responded.
A lot of people came out. A lot of people came out. We had a lot of really good. It was way more interactive than a show is generally. That we just had way more time to talk to people and hang out. And that was really cool,
Right. No,
so,
and there's something about that. If you go to a show, the interactions are just so fleeting. You know what I mean?
Well, there's always some kind of responsibility that you have. If you're not preparing to go on stage or playing, you're, tearing down your stuff, or you're selling merch, or you're whatever it is you need to do, or you're dealing with, getting paid for the night or whatever it is.
You're really not able to socialize.
Not having to deal with any of that. Yeah, not having to deal with any of that was awesome. Like Josh said, that's how we're doing our shows from now on. We're just going to show up and play records.
Oh man, it does sound like a lot of fun.
You know what? I'm real close to agreeing with him.
Hey, Gordo, I got to ask you something, because this came up today. So I was trimming weed, and I want to ask you about this too, Mikey. I was, and I've heard this from a few people, but I was trimming weed with Jake Fairley today, and I've talked to another couple friends from various bands around town. I won't name their names because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag on this. But one guy was talking about how, God, he was like, God, don't you just miss playing shows, or aren't you bummed about the end of gigs? And me and Jake were both like, yeah, no, we're kind of excited about the break. You know what I mean? And I've heard this from a few different people in a few different fields, where it's the fact that we can't do something keeps us from feeling like we have to do something.
That's a good observation. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just I tend to just kind of keep the ball rolling, whatever I'm doing. So, switching over from and kind of looking at our schedule and saying oh, we're not going to be playing these spring or potentially summer shows that we have lined up. We had a couple festival things that we were going to do, and I don't know what's going to happen with any of that. But what's cool about the way things are right now is that I can come down here, and I've already finished a lot of work that I got started but never had the time to actually complete. I got those things done in the first week, and now I'm working on other things. And I even picked up some work. Josh and I are working on a video for somebody else. So that's kind of cool.
Actually, one one of the silver linings of everything going on too, right? Is I think come fall time we're gonna see a lot of new shit come out.
Oh, right.
Like new
Yes.
studio albums
I
from people.
can
Like I think everyone's gonna be hunkering down, just working on creative, and I think we're gonna see some bomb.
Well, and that's an
Shit coming out of
important thing.
Yeah.
And that's such an important thing because, like,
Absolutely.
if you're in go show mode all the time, you're probably, with very few exceptions, not going to be in write mode or admin mode or content creation mode. You're just too fucking tired if you're doing the like performance side of it. And I'm pretty sure, Mikey, that like even though most of what you do is in the studio or like out shooting in the field, I'm sure all of this going on has been forcing you to focus your attention on a relatively smaller number of things.
Oh yeah, it's been great. Like even from a client perspective, like we're lucky enough to have clients, one in the cannabis industry, and it's an industry that is proving to be in a bit recession proof right now, right? Everyone's going to be sitting
provided they keep the
dudes, so you're gonna
dispensaries
drink or
open.
smoke.
You know
Yeah,
what I
and
mean?
looks like they are. They called it as essential business, so I think we'll thrive and we'll be okay on that industry. And then so most of our clients there, and we're running social media and digital marketing for those clients. So everything we're doing is digital anyways. So other than being able to go in the field and shoot some content that we know we need to shoot, we're just finding other ways of creating content in-house. So everyone can work from home and work remote, and it hasn't really affected much. The only thing that it's really affected is actually being able to physically be in the studio for animation.
Right.
That's kind of something that needs to be done there with a group of people.
Yeah, I'll be right back, guys. My beer's here.
Okay.
You're good. So, but you know, Jamie has our lead animator. Jamie's taken a bunch of sets and characters up to his house to set up a studio at home, so we can keep a few of the animation projects that we have currently kind of still alive.
I mean, it seems like everybody's working. You know what I mean? It seems like everybody from the studio is up to something.
Yep, everyone's still working for sure.
Yeah.
So it's just you know, working from, and it's funny too because I'm actually, it's crazy the amount of things that you said that like you can get done when you're kind of unplugged from, you know, just being so, you know, focus pulled.
Right.
Being at the studio even's hard, right? Because I'm pulled in a million directions every single day by, you know, this person or this person, that department, whatever, kind of all over the place. But being able to sit at home and really, really focus on something, when we've been able to get a lot of SOPs and just workflow things that we needed to get done for months finally dialed in, right? I've been just sitting and building out calendars and you know, standard operating procedures for everyone to follow that has just actually made what we're doing a lot more efficient.
Right. And I mean, it also, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but it has really helped to focus on what's most important. You know, I think we're seeing a lot of, changes just culturally across the board, and seeing people kind of turn their attention towards what really matters, which is, you know, family and relationships and all that, but also, you know, what you can get by without. It's like, man, maybe I don't need to spend 2 hours in the car every day. You know, maybe I don't need to spend this much time away from home. And you start like kind of seeing, I mean, because truth be told, I don't have a whole lot more time than I did before because I'm one of the people who's fortunate enough to keep working. But when I'm at home, like that's the only place I'm really allowed to be besides going to work or coming here and doing the podcast. You know what I mean? Like it's really the only place that I'm allowed to be, and I don't have that ability to like create busy work for myself out of some feeling that I need to keep myself busy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And it is giving me at least a small amount of extra time with my wife and my kid, which is awesome.
That's
like,
great.
Have you gotten to spend more time with the kids with all this going on?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I've become a master fort builder in the last 2 weeks.
That's really cool, man.
Built some really good stuff.
That's really cool. And at the
No,
same
it's
time,
been-
you're still getting stuff done around that. You know, you're still getting stuff done for Nug Nation. Like,
Yeah,
we've still been going back and forth.
it was like I said, it was. Yeah, it was weird. I thought I wasn't going to. I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult, but it's actually proven to be more productive.
Right.
You know, this is the first shirt I've put on. You know, technically in 2 weeks. I've been sitting in a white
Right.
T-shirt.
I'm
and
glad
my
you got dressed up for
gym
the
shorts
show.
for 2 weeks. So I finally shaved and put on a shirt for the show. So thank you for at least getting me out
There's
of
no
the
there's no pants on below
Hey,
the table, is there?
fellas. Cheers.
Hey,
Cheers
salud.
to Nug Nation and to 100th episode of the MF podcast.
Man.
Is yours blurred out because it's not appropriate?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's weird.
Just says Texas Jigger. I don't know. Shout out to
Blur-
Centennial, Dallas's largest liquor stores, at least it was back in 1972 or whenever this glass was made. And shout out to Grandma's House, which is doing home deliveries of beer.
Oh, that's great.
Love you guys.
Dude, I heard today that the governor of Alabama or the governor of Georgia announced today that they were going to declare liquor stores non-essential.
Whoa.
Yeah, they tried that. They tried that in Denver. For
Yeah,
like
it
an
made it
hour.
an hour.
Yeah, I think it maybe lasted 3 hours max. That's about as long as
My
that
dad,
went.
I don't know if we mentioned this on the last episode. I don't know if it's happened since because all the days are running together. But my dad sent me a Marco Polo because we're old, and he said you should see Tipsy's now. He's like, it looks like New Year's Eve out there. He's like, the place is just absolutely full of people. Just like, and not 6 feet apart either. Just
Yeah.
butts to nuts, man. Yeah.
Dude, that liquor store is crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's huge.
I think it's huge. That's the one off 470 in Kipling, right?
And but I guess that was the situation with liquor stores all over town. And like they were going to shut down the dispensaries too. And it was just like Hancock saw the backlash and was like, nope. But I've got a feeling that like in a place like Georgia, like they'll enforce that shit and people will, like old moonshiners, they'll go across the border to get it, man. They'll end up traveling more.
Is that an open carry state?
Georgia? I don't know, but I know they still
Yeah.
throw people in prison for weed.
Yeah.
Can you believe that shit? Like they still throw people in prison for weed in that fucking state. That way, and
It's-
Yeah.
I know it actually makes me feel bad sometimes.
that we live here and we're that lucky.
Makes me know that I'm literally just like making a living off making fucking weed talk and silly cartoons, and we just have it at our disposal to make all this ridiculous stuff. But,
Meanwhile,
you know,
there's
other
people in
the
certain
country that
parts
get
of the country
thrown in jail for
It's so fucked up.
being crazy.
And actually,
Yeah.
Everybody else will come around eventually.
eventually, it'll just take time. It'll take
a while. Definitely,
But
like
they've already seen it.
Kansas.
There's too much at this point. There's too much money behind
Right.
it.
Yeah.
There's way too much. Like they're not.
Kansas will be the
ignoring it.
last. That's for sure. That's all I know for sure.
Money even
I can
speaks
predict
louder
that.
than religion,
I think
fortunately.
Yeah, it's true.
So one of the things I remember very early on when things started getting closed down, you said to me very early on that you were optimistic that we were going to be able to keep going during all of this because Netflix and chill was about to become the way of the world for a while, and the weed industry was going to spike, and the content, like the viewer acquisition market, was going to spike. Like people were going to be watching a lot more content at home. That's like something that we talked about early on.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Well,
But
so
here's-
what have you observed since you and I had that conversation and all the COVID-19 stuff first started breaking forth? Like, has that been showing up as true in your observation, or
Absolutely.
what? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you how many posts and how many Facebook comments I've seen of people like looking for a new show to binge, just finished Ozark, just finished this, just
Right.
finished this. That's all people are doing. What's going to actually be interesting is what's going to happen come the end of summer and fall time. Right. Because you're going to have this gap. You're going to have this gap in content that's about to happen because they shut down production down. Right.
Right.
So anything that was in season for filming come fall release time, like the peak release season for new shows, it'll be interesting to see what happens, right? If they're going to have enough stuff to fill the queue and everything, because production's shut down.
Right, there's going to be a lag. It's like the same thing. There's like a bunch of tours are getting canceled. So people aren't booking new tours because no one knows when anything's going to happen. So once we get the go-ahead, there's going to be a 6-month lag before people start booking performances. Like big names start booking performances. You know, they book 6 months out, 6 months to a year out before they put something together. You know, like if someone's going to play at Red Rocks or something like that.
I have to say, like, that's the one thing that I'm really, really excited about is not having to do booking emails right now.
Well, no, and it honestly, something like this could completely 100% change the face of production and the entertainment industry as we know it, right? You start looking at all these celebrities that are now doing live streams of them just hanging out at home, and they're spiking numbers. You have like Ellen DeGeneres doing live streams every day at her house with millions of viewers and all this type of stuff. So when you start kind of comparing apples to oranges, it's like, wow, we're spending millions of dollars to have this
zero budget. Zero
There's
budget.
a $0 budget when you can get people just on Instagram pulling those type of numbers and those type of influencers from the comfort of their own home. Like it literally might change everything.
Do you think it's going to kill the major production studios? Do you think it'll kill major production?
I don't think it'll kill it. But I think you're going to see a shift in where dollars are spent.
Right.
And how dollars are spent. Because there's always going to be there's always going to be a need for high-end production and storytelling and people wanting that type of stuff. But I just think you're going to see a new form of content about to hit that's going to become normal.
I saw pretty early on a friend of mine on Facebook just posted this line that stuck out in my brain. He said, "Guys, we're TV now." Like all the live streaming that was going on. You know what I mean? Like all the live streaming that was going on, all the stuff that people are putting out on TikTok, all the memes that are getting shared. Like we the people have become like, I mean, we were already before with YouTube and you know, short form, small video and things like that. But like now it's like all there is.
Dude, I'll tell you what.
Have you ever we tell clients that no matter what you're selling, no matter what you're doing, you have to be a media company too.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody in personal business doesn't matter. Everybody has to think of themselves as a media brand now or have some sort of.
There's an account that I follow called Influencers in the Wild on Instagram.
My wife got me onto that. I love it.
Oh, it's so good. And all it is video of people, like people taking video of people taking video. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And it hasn't slowed down one bit. It hasn't slowed down one bit. That guy, I can't remember that guy's name, the bald dude that runs it. But that guy is making a mint. It's amazing.
Have you guys seen any overall change in your own numbers? Have you guys seen any change in your overall numbers? Like Gordo, have you seen any change in the Granny Tweed numbers, or are they pretty much the same?
Since we've started producing more content, our numbers have gone just way down. We're nobody's looking at our shit at all. So we're gonna put the pause button on there for a minute, and we're gonna reevaluate. Start it back up. Maybe in spring 2021. Watch out.
We're gonna start out slow and dial it back from there.
No, honestly.
What about you,
The engagement has been really good. Especially I joined Riffbook, which is my favorite new thing now.
That is the coolest new.
Bart McCrory, thank you. Because
tell people about what Riffbook is. What's Riffbook?
Riffbook is basically whatever you can chug on the guitar in under a minute. Just do a video of yourself and whatever riff it is.
There's like daily challenges.
There are daily challenges that he throws up and is like, hey, today is TV theme day or surf theme day, or today was European Metal Day.
Lick, or something like that.
Yeah. Show something that's challenging lick that you've been working on or whatever. And it's been super cool to see what's on that channel. Like that's the channel I watch now.
It's really cool.
It's People TV. It's People TV.
Mikey, what have you seen for the Nug Nation in terms of conversion recently? Now that everybody's like just on their devices 24 hours a day. As if they weren't enough already.
I should know that answer, shouldn't I? Honestly,
I
man,
have a person for that. No, you're too busy working. I get it.
It's true. There's a lot of stuff that I, trying to keep everything afloat remote right now. So I've been a little disconnected from our social channels, but Max and Kevin, they run those. They'd probably be a better person to ask. I know there's been a spike over the past week, and I only know that because we dropped a new piece of content this past week.
Right.
That new Redman skit. So obviously we saw a spike from that.
Oh, that's live. That's gone out.
Awesome.
Yes.
Dude, that shit was
That's
so
awesome.
fun. So, man, there's like so much to unpack there. So, first of all, I don't know the origin story. Like, after all these years of working with the Nug Nation, I've been involved with the Nug Nation now like 4 or 5 years.
Oh, you mean like the actual Nug Nation, like, origin story?
Yeah, like how it got started. Like, I have no idea. You
Yeah,
just
so
asked me to come help on some stuff, and I showed up, and I just have kept showing up.
Yeah, I love it. So the story is I was working at another agency called Garlic Media Group, running their video production department. They used to be an SEO company, just doing website stuff, and then they started to bring on video to do SEO stuff, and then I eventually moved them. I convinced them to move into a studio, and then we built out a full production studio, and they are now actually exclusively a video production house. So you're welcome, guys.
Hey.
So anyways, they were doing a lot of client specific work, right? They were doing, talking head videos of CPAs and attorneys, and it's like nothing really too creative. It's kind of just like your, standard talking head production. There was some cool stuff that we did, but I decided I wanted to leave and start my own agency, my own creative agency, especially when weed went legal. The second weed went legal, it was like, okay, there's going to be a media play in this world. And I looked at all the content and media that was happening out in cannabis at the time when it first went legal, and it was awful. iPhone stuff or just super stonery, dumb content. Like, so the content being created around the industry was in
It's like the Pleasures dudes, 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. So we were like, screw it. Left, started my own creative agency, doing a handful of different, building out a handful of different projects and initiatives and shopping around to brands. And that's how we, started doing stuff. Was we'd come up with a digital campaign or an idea that we liked, that we thought was creative and cool. And then we'd go out and sell it to brands to put their name on it as branded content. Right. So we did this for the weed. We started thinking about this for the weed industry. And then we started thinking, oh my God, there's why don't we start our own digital streaming channel of weed content, right? And so we started teaming up with different people inside the video world. This is where Joy came along and understanding kind of streaming and online video services. And we started building out all this content, right? A cooking show and like how-to videos, and we started coming up with all these different ideas for shows that we could fill this type of network and content with. And then I was just sitting in my office one day with my creative partner at the time, and I looked over and I was like, "Do you ever watch Robot Chicken?" And he's like, "No," because he didn't watch TV. And I was like, "Well, it's these short vignette stop motion animation skits where they take all these action figures and do all these ridiculous skits out of them." It's like, what if we did the same thing but with weed? Because people name weed really stupid names, right? Granddaddy Purple, Alaskan Thunderfuck. Like, there's all these names that people lend weed strains to, and I was like, those are characters. Like, in my head, I see these characters just listening to weed strain names. So I was like, let's do one and see what happens. So we went to the dispensary, found the biggest nugs we could, and literally like glued googly eyes on them and like little clay feet. And we just like made this little cardboard set, right? And just did this like little 60-second skit of like these little weed nugs moving around and talking. And so we had all these different like pilots that we had filmed and that we were working on. And then, started meeting some people in the cannabis industry, some advisors, and shopped them around just to be like, get some input. Like, what do you guys think of this? This is what we're looking to do. And everyone had the same reaction. They're like, okay, fuck everything else you're doing. This cartoon thing is hilarious. And I've never seen anything like it. And it's definitely unique. And if you want to stand out, be unique, be different, do something that no one else is doing.
Right.
So We decided with the little, with a little bit of investment money that we had and everything, we scrapped everything, scrapped taking on clients, scrapped all the other shows, scrapped the network, and said, we're just going to do this cartoon full time and see what happens.
Yeah.
And we made it a few years just doing that. Before we got to the point where we got a new studio, we got a bigger staff, and, we needed to make a little bit more money to keep things afloat. So we started bringing on client work again, but we're bringing on client work in the cannabis sector of what I used to do, right? Being able to do, social media management and content creation for brands and commercial work. But now it's slowly leading into people actually paying us to do spin-offs of the animated series and being paid to create cartoons. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
So that's kind of how it happened. It started off as going to just be this random side thing that we were going to put on this network that we created, and ended up being our full-time gig for a while.
Right.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. So I mean, it did get going pretty quickly then, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, like we were putting out a bunch of content. Like I said, it was only Dylan and I at the time. It was just the two of us, and then getting you and Zach to come in for voiceovers. So with the little investment that I had at the time, we were lasting a while just doing it ourselves and just like, whatever, we'll just keep popping these out, and hopefully someday it'll catch on and brands will want to sponsor it, essentially.
Right.
And then it kind of got to those things where we started getting more talent and more people that wanted to be involved, and they were donating their time, and nobody was getting paid for the longest time. And then we'd have jobs come in or getting paid to do certain things, or a little sponsorship money that would come in on a couple of the episodes, and we would pay people when we could. And it just became one of those things where we ended up kind of just by accident having a full staff of people that worked on it. And we wanted to keep everybody. We wanted to keep everybody alive. We didn't want anyone to leave. So, well, let's start making money over here so we can pay everyone to keep doing the project.
Right.
So eventually we turned into
that's when you started selling it out to like more of the full marketing firm stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. That's really fucking cool. You're a genius. You're an iconoclast. No, for real, man. That's like really cool. So now we run under the name Burn Studios, and that's basically the studio and the production house. And then the Nug Nation is the show that we do underneath the production company. Okay, all right. So now Burn Studios, that's a subdivision or a division of Burn TV, right?
Yes.
So how did the Nug Nation end up getting hooked up with Burn TV, and what is Burn TV?
Okay, so this is another long story that I'll try and wrap up.
Okay, man. We're on a podcast. You can
got plenty of time.
Tell the story right.
So it all started off here. We had an article come out about us in MG Magazine, right? This B2B business magazine in the weed industry that goes out to basically just, people that work within the industry itself, right?
Right.
So MG Magazine writes
this article. It's a trade magazine.
Yeah. They write an article about us, about this group out of Colorado that's doing creative marketing, right? And that's what the show was. If you pay attention to the show has a very, very, very specific layout, and there's a reason behind it. Okay. The show is about a gas station. It's about these two individuals that run a gas station, Affy and Diesel, right? And there's a couple of reasons why. One, there's always you need a central focus point where everybody in the town can be a part of it, right? Well, a gas station's perfect. Everyone's got to go through there at some point, so you can make it the jumping off point for any kind of story for any individual that lives in the town, right?
Right.
So that was part of it. Number two was the reason for creating creative marketing and videos for the weed industry was because of all the advertising and marketing regulations that exist within the weed industry, which basically means you can't really do it.
Right, you can't have commercials on TV.
Yeah, you can't run ads on TV. You can't run them on Google, Facebook. Everything has to be very, very specific as far as localized advertising and it not crossing state lines because different states have different regulations. So you can't market and advertise brands across state lines right now. That's the way it exists. You can, however, create brand awareness. And that's all video and digital marketing is for branded content. As long as you're not doing a specific call to action of where to go buy this thing or cost this much, or as long as it's not a direct advertisement, you could put out a piece of content with the logo in it or a product in it. And if it's not the central focus point of selling an ad, then it's okay. So product placement inside creative content totally works, right? There's
like
no
Howdy
regulation.
Doody, brought to you by Cornflakes, like that type of idea.
Yeah, and so we're like, there's the loophole on how to make it work, right? If you weren't allowed to run advertising on your shit, Aaron, right now, fine. The Apple logo's still there, that Rode mic's still there. That's the loophole, right? You're advertising it without Apple. You're creating brand awareness for it, right?
You're a loophole.
So
I'm a loophole. You're a loophole.
So with that,
your poop hole's a loophole.
So with that being okay, the gas station becomes a perfect place for brand placement and brand advertising because it's not going to feel forced. It's not going to feel like you're doing it on purpose, because a lot of content creation, when they're trying to put brand placement in it, it's very forced. You can tell what they're doing, and it almost looks like you're just trying to sell it. A gas station, if there isn't brands everywhere and if there isn't product all over the place, it would look weird.
It would look
so you basically
weird,
create this open slate to do as much brand placement as you want because it's supposed to be there. It feels organic to the scene and it feels organic to the content.
Like, it would look weird if there weren't like bags of Bugles and Cheetos and fucking Starbursts and Budweiser all over the inside of a 7-Eleven in a movie or something.
Yeah. So now we create this show about this gas station and have full range of putting whatever brand and whatever marketing you will, if you will, inside of it, and it feels totally organic and it's supposed to be there, right? Part of the aesthetic of the scene, is part of the aesthetic of the content. So that's why the content is what it is. So anyways, MJ Retailer comes around and writes a story about us on how we are basically creative marketing people doing it different with this show and this opportunity for brands to come and play along, right? So now there's this other story to Nug Nation, and it's the way the content is written, and it's the way the content comes across. If you watch our content, and if you were to replace every character and every line with talking rocks, it would be the same show. The show's not about weed. The show's not about cannabis. It just is made of cannabis. That's the aesthetic. And every now and then we'll sprinkle these funny, cannabis-specific jokes.
Stoner humor in it.
But it's not stoner content. It is not weed content. No. For weed people, it's literally like your grandmother could watch it and find it funny because it's social commentary. It's South Park. It's literally right. And that's how you break outside of this stoner demographic and break into the mainstream of media and mainstream of content, because everyone can fuck with it. Everyone can find humor in it. So that was very, very, very important in the way that we created this show. It cannot be.
No, it's not a stoner show. It's not a stoner show. And I think that that's a complaint that a lot of people have about the weed industry, and a need that you've been filling is, I, for one, and I know many feel this way, weed culture as we used to know it just kind of catered to the lowest common denominator, and it was a little shrill and dumb, and it's like, come on over to the stripper truck where the strippers are going to be smoking blunts and dumping 40s on their tits, and everybody's going to be wearing wraparound sunglasses and weed lays and like shirt that says, can't we all just get a bong, man? Like really over the top, like Spencer Gifts stoner fucking horseshit. Like, people
had a
Prince. I love it.
That's good. Yeah. So anyway, so now here's what happens. Burn TV, Jason Santos, the CEO over at Burn TV, is flipping through MG magazine one day. Oh, no, he got an email. He got a newsletter, because they also did a newsletter to their email followers about this. And what happened was, he even said it too. He's like, I seriously saw this article about you guys. I read it and I thought to myself, oh my God, how stupid. This is going to be the worst shit I've ever seen. So he went to our website and he watched all the content that we had. He watched everything, but he said after about 30 seconds into the first episode, right away, he was like, holy shit, yes, these guys are doing it right. I can already tell.
Right.
So he hits me up on he fills out a forum on our website to hit us up. And so I called him back like right away. I got the email and it was like within 5 minutes I called him. He's like, holy shit, I didn't think you'd call me this fast. And we ended up having about a 2-hour conversation, our first conversation, of how we came up with the Nug Nation, the reason it is what it is, and all these things I just explained to you. And he basically goes, holy shit, I wish you were my business partner, because it's like I'm talking into a mirror.
Right.
And he's like, so let me tell you what
TV.
Yeah.
Because Burn TV is the same way.
Yeah. So he goes, let me tell you what Burn TV is and what we're doing. Burn TV is basically a new streaming channel that we're launching. Again, a lot of tiebacks, because it's like, holy shit, that's what we were starting, a while ago.
Right.
But we learned very quickly that nothing we were doing was that interesting except for the one piece of content, right? This cartoon. It was different. And this is exactly where everything kind of fell into line. Jason's like, exactly. Weed's not that interesting. It's not interesting enough to generate an entire network off of. It would never happen.
Right.
Nobody would watch it.
You can only watch so many videos of fucking plants and like people smoking.
And the
perfect
example is like,
seconds.
And right now, everyone's, it's starting to die down. But at the first, like, people were interested in cannabis content. And the only reason why is because it was an emerging industry. So what happens in 5 years when it just is treated like alcohol? Can you imagine trying to start an entire network based off the alcohol industry and just like how it's made and this and that? Like, nobody would care. No one's going to care, because the only thing that's going to have longevity is entertainment. Right? Information is going to come and go, and then after that people are not going to care anymore.
Ultra channel for maybe a couple minutes. I don't know.
So, so he's like, what we're doing is we're creating a streaming service and a content library of stuff that the cannabis consumer enjoys. A cannabis consumer enjoys music and comedy and action sports and lifestyle and travel and documentary. It's basically just millennial content, right? Everybody enjoys that type of content. So it's like, why not cater to that and use, have the cannabis industry kind of be like the forefront to help push it, right?
Right.
So that was the start of the conversation, and we just aligned with a lot of stuff. It's like, he's like, even the way you guys create your content, it's beautiful because you're not talking about weed. The show's not about weed. It's exactly what the network is. It's not a network about weed because it's not interesting. Weed's not that interesting from an entertainment standpoint.
It's more like, whenever I describe it to people, I say it's like cannabis-friendly lifestyle content. Like, it's like, it's cannabis adjacent. You know what I mean? Like, the people in the shows probably smoke weed, and it ties back to weed a little bit, but it's really just it's entertainment like you would see on any channel. It's just entertainment that is cannabis friendly.
Yeah. So now you have this, you have all the big boy and the Titans, right? You got Netflix, which is, big for movies. You got Hulu, which is big for TV shows. And now they're all cross-platforming, kind of doing their own thing. They have a show, they have a movie, you have Amazon originals, Prime originals, Netflix originals, Hulu originals. So you have all these Titans doing that, but there isn't anyone that's actually broken into a good digital space of this yet. Curating content, that short form content, that 3-minute, 5-minute or under type of web series where you can go and binge that type of stuff. Yes, there's YouTube, but that's user-generated content. That's people putting up whatever the hell they want, putting out crap. So where is where is there a streaming platform where people can binge just that high-quality, more specialized niche content that's, short? That's the sector that they're going after. So there's a lot of backstory with working together with them and going back and forth. But basically where it ended was they wanted Nug Nation exclusively. They're like, we want it to be Burn original programming. Right. And basically they were going through fundraising at the time, still are. That's a whole nother story. And essentially we found a place where the show could live. They would pay for production in full, and we could just create. Somebody else pays for production, just like a normal TV network would for a producer. And we can just literally create the Nug Nation every day, day in and day out, and all they care about is just get as much content as you can.
Right.
Perfect, beautiful opportunity. Then it kind of just led into a lot of other, things with raising money and startup and survivability. And long story short, we're stronger together. We decided to merge the brands and merge the companies. And from a entrepreneurial standpoint, I knew what they were building. They were building something big and are building something big. And there's a whole business model behind Burn TV that I can't talk about that is so mind-blowing, and a way to monetize content in the only way that you can monetize nowadays, because monetizing short form content and content in general is very difficult to do nowadays. And they have a very, very creative way of doing it to where content becomes the leverage, but it's not what you're selling. So if you can find a team to hook up with that will basically say, we'll pay for production for whatever kind of production we need to fill our content queue, but that content itself never has to make a dime. It frees up a content creator and from a artist standpoint to not have to worry about how you have to make your craft and your art make money.
Right.
That is the beauty of what Burn TV's building and why I can't really talk about it just yet, but that's what's happening, right? Is a situation where artists and video creators can come in and create whatever the hell they want because we need a queue filled, but that content never has to make a dime. And it won't matter.
Have you seen any of the non-linear streaming platforms like American Horrors? Have you seen that channel going on right now? It's basically TV.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? And all they're trying to do, it's similar but different, but it like seems to be an indicator of where the industry is moving. Just the media industry in general is basically they're just going around gathering up content from as many creators as they can, and like you said, curating it, and and creating programming for people, and just making it available, and whether or not it's a quote unquote hit show or whatever isn't the important part. Yeah.
So that's exactly right. Right, curating content and being a place where most of it can land. If you can control the eyeballs, then or a massive.
Well, it gives you a lot of runway, and I don't.
It does.
And you can stop me if you don't feel comfortable talking about this, but I wanted to ask you about this.
7 inches on a good day.
So on that note, there was a period of time when we were shopping the show around. And we were entertaining some options, and I mean, this was like discussions were going on with Burn TV and whatnot, but we were also shopping around some other options. I should say we the company, but you were shopping some things around. And one of the things that we talked about in conversations that you and I had was this idea of that a platform like Burn TV was going to give us the most runway out of any possible option. Because, they, like, if we had hooked up with a company like Viacom or some shit like that, if our content...
Which, don't get me wrong, I would still do.
Yeah, it would be awesome. But what I'm saying, like, one of the things we talked about is we wouldn't have the runway to build the show and let it grow and things like that, because if it didn't hit right away, it would get pulled from programming. You know what I mean? Like a platform like Burn TV, creators or platforms like this that use this different model, they're creating the space for creators to come in and like develop their craft and develop their programming and build an audience for it.
Yeah.
And another thing, if I remember correctly, that came up is a lot of the major networks didn't want to mess with what we did because at that point it was still too scary.
Oh yeah. So
like Jeff Sessions was doing a lot of saber rattling and all that was going on. Did you feel comfortable talking about that at all?
Yeah. So what you're talking about is a couple of years ago when we were kind of in our first year of production on everything, we did an episode of Potty Talk with Bong Burgundy with Jaren Benton, hip hop artist, right? Jaren Benton's manager was buddies with a individual that worked at a place called Hideout Studios or Hideout Productions, I think. They're out of Nashville.
Right.
Hideout Productions had just wrapped up their second season of Still the King, this show with Billy Ray Cyrus on CMT, Country Music Television, which was like a Eastbound and Down style, like washed up artist that was trying to make it big in music again, but was just completely like off the rails, right? It's the easiest way to explain what the show was, because it wasn't hugely popular, but it ran for 2 seasons, so it did well for a couple of years.
It did well enough.
Anyway, so he's like, he just goes to this producer friend of his. He's like, hey, so I was just in Denver with these guys and they do this show. You should take a look at it. So this guy took a look at it and he's like, holy shit, this is amazing. Lo and behold, I get a phone call from this producer and he goes, hey, this is who I am. These are my credentials. This is what I do. You can look up my name. I looked up his name, and you're talking about it, been a producer on some huge shows across Hollywood, like, you know, Dancing with the Stars and whatever, right? So I was like, all right, yeah, the dude's real. He's like, I would love to help you shop the Nug Nation. I think you guys are onto something huge, and I think with your guys' content, I can get you meetings. And we're like, cool. So we put together this little like demo reel type thing with everything, and they ended up doing a shopping agreement with us, and they got us meetings with Netflix, Comedy Central, TBS, and I think there was another one, True TV or something. And what was beautiful about it is most times when you get into a pitch or when you get to that level of being able to pitch these companies, it's based off of a spec script or a synopsis or a pilot script or some sorts, right?
Right.
We got the meetings based on the content they already saw. They already saw it in its live form. So that means they liked it enough, even in its rawest form of seeing what the actual finished content is, to take the meeting, right? It wasn't just an idea on paper. So that was exciting because we knew we were on the right track. It's like, holy shit. I literally got to go to LA and sit in the boardroom of Netflix and Comedy Central and pitch this to the exec. The world, it's like every content creator's dream when you do video, right? It's like you get to go to the big boys and pitch your idea because they're interested. It's like that's
the crazy. Big boardroom with the long oak table and
it's
sitting there with all 100%. The suits.
And wonderful.
It's crazy that we got to do that. It was one of the coolest experiences of my life, you know. Yeah. So
just to even get the meeting.
Pitches,
you know what I mean? Even to get the meeting and get told no. That's like
yeah. Well, the beauty is they want content creators to come back, because if they just told no to everybody and everything sucked and they didn't give notes or feedback, they would never get any shows, right? So they'll always tell you after the fact, like, hey, the storyline wasn't strong or this or that or whatever, because they want you to improve your craft, improve the writing, improve the character development, improve whatever the problems are, and then come back to us again another time. Right. So they need people to not be discouraged. So they give feedback. They give honest feedback on where the problems are.
That's interesting. I never would have thought that, but that's interesting to
think
of.
Otherwise people would just never go in and pitch stuff, right? You get shot down once, you'd never go back, and before you know it, they'd have like fucking zero content creators, right?
You get this idea in your head of like the producer who's just like sitting there and just like, sorry kid, I don't take meetings, and like gives you no feedback and just slams the door in your face.
It was,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was super cool.
That's Mr. Wonderful right there.
So we pitch everybody. We pitch everybody, and then obviously they don't say anything right then and there. They take it to their bosses and they throw it around the company. So we started getting feedback a couple of weeks later, and the feedback was a little bit mixed and matched from the reason why they didn't want to move forward, but all of it was very positive, right? Basically, the gist of it was it's a cartoon about weed in an industry that we don't know what the hell's going to happen. And Jeff Sessions, literally like the week after we pitched, came out and said that they were going to revoke the Cole memorandum, right? That basically, you know, dealt with weed and everything and people being convicted for weed and everything. So they were like, holy shit, this new administration, this is right after Trump was elected. Like, this new administration's not going to play nice with cannabis, so we don't want to touch it, right? Netflix,
we don't want to invest in something that we might not be able to put on.
Right. Netflix's response was, we're not really sure what we want to do with weed programming and cannabis programming because we've already tried and it was a flop, right? They were talking about Disjointed. Disjointed came out and it was like people hated it. It was like it got terrible reviews. It was not good. They thought it was going to be better, so I think they were a little spooked on cannabis content at the time.
Right.
Comedy Central's feedback was, this is great, but we don't think our advertisers will buy into it, and that's our problem because we're broadcast. We have to put on the air what we think advertisers will buy against. So we were just in this area of, it's not like the stories were bad. It's not like the content was bad. They loved everything about it, but there was just this fear of what to do with cannabis content at the time and not sure what was going to happen. So that's what was pretty encouraging, was the fact that, yeah, we got the pitch. It didn't go anywhere. it probably was okay for the time being because we were still early. We still hadn't really quite refined what we've even been doing, and we're still learning stuff every day.
Right.
And this early on, before we even really got our toes wet, did you want a network coming in and basically taking over creative control and really just kind of dictating?
Which is exactly how I felt about it at the time. And to be clear, this was what, 2 years ago that you were taking these meetings, and so much has changed in terms of niche programming and channels in the last 2 years. Like in terms of like how the market has really, like, there was a lot of people 2 years ago who didn't think that model was going to work.
Yeah.
The niche content market. They didn't think that it was ever going, it was going to be a fad or whatever. And it has really started to move in that direction with like Disney Plus and, Amazon getting great shows, and Roku is growing, by the tens of thousands of people every day. It's become a much bigger thing in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, the gap is closed.
Well, so what it tells me is that joining up with like Burn TV, was getting ahead of the curve a little bit, because that's the direction that it's going.
Yeah, and it's not like they're reinventing the wheel, right? They're just kind of attacking it in a niche industry with a niche way of doing it.
Right.
And so it kind of led to just, we started looking back at Burn or whatever, because it all kind of happened at the same time, all that type of stuff, with Burn TV finding out about us and then the networks finding out about us and all this type of stuff was all kind of spiraling all around the same time. But we kept talking with Burn TV, and, they started floating us some cash for a while, right? They had some initial investors that ended up faulting after a few months, but they had money coming in. And the second money started coming in for those guys, they were paying for production. They were paying Nug Nation every single month to stay alive and keep production going, because it was all the stuff we were creating was going to fall under the Burn TV channel. And then their investors faulted at the time, and they had to go through a whole other fundraising thing, which is where they're at now. And so we've had to just kind of stay alive since then. And during that whole process of trying to stay alive and just seeing how Burn revamped their business model based off the raise they were doing and everything going on, it just made sense to say, it puts them in a better position if they own media properties. So if they own the Nug Nation and all the IP around it, it looks a lot better than if they're just licensing that content. So like I said, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I see the bigger picture, right? Merging with Burn TV and being an executive and a partner at Burn TV right now, even at a smaller stake, is a way better opportunity for everyone involved in Nug Nation than all of us just owning the show as a one-off piece of content.
Right, just a piece of content, right?
Yeah, so...
Right.
And then from a production standpoint, right, we have a whole production house that we're able to create other shows under. We don't just have the Nug Nation. We can create other stuff. We can help guide a lot of the... because there is a very big play in the Burn TV, empire that we're building for doing branded content in digital marketing. It all kind of works together. Right. So it's like we started having this digital marketing company that we started building, plus the show. It was just it all made sense to say, you know what, let's just partner together, come up with a deal that makes sense to just turn this into one big giant, company. And that's what landed at. So that's why now the studio there is now under Burn Studios, because that's technically what the production falls under, and the Nug Nation is just a show.
Oh, well, I learned something new. I'm going to stop introducing this place as the Nug Nation then. So welcome to Burn Studios. Burn Studios or Studio?
Burn Studios.
It's Burn Studios.
Burn TV Studios. Right.
I've been saying it wrong all this time, and I fucking work here, man. See what happens when you don't show up for the staff meetings, Aaron? God damn.
Get your shit right, man. Get your shit correct.
Yeah.
And technically, Burn TV Studios, if you will, is officially in operation full force starting April 1st. That's why.
Really?
That's why you haven't heard it yet. Yeah, everything's been under Nug Nation and Nug Life LLC, our other company, but everything is being basically officially launched from a contract standpoint and bank account standpoint, all that type of stuff, April 1st, because it's the start of the new quarter. We just wanted to make it simple numbers and say, cool, quarter 2 when we're starting.
That's tomorrow. Exciting.
It's tomorrow, right?
Mike, no, it's day after tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Mike,
and
that's
so all
really
that looks
exciting. You didn't tell me that. Were you waiting for
'cause
the
it's
show to
all-
announce that?
No. It all transitions into the same thing, right? The problem is we're running out of everything.
Oh,
under
nothing's
Nug-
going to be any different.
No, paperwork. Are confused as to why the Nug Nation and all of our emails and our website geared to this cartoon when we're a digital marketing company. It wasn't making sense.
Right.
We needed to
Right.
just separate the names to say, okay, it's a lot easier to say we're a production company. That's what Nug Nation is. So now it's just easier to say the production company is Burn Studios, but we have this show that we create. For the longest time,
I would change the overlay so that it said, instead of saying the Nug Nation, it says Burn Studios, but I don't know how to do that.
It's fine.
Ethan heard me say it, and he's like looking over here like, I got you. No, that's really exciting. No, we don't have to do it. I was just going to say that he just announced that he announced that the Nug Nation is now Burn Studios. He's like, yeah, I heard. I've been listening. Hey, but while I've got you here, can you show me how to do the overlays of the sponsors, and we can do the sponsors stuff real quick?
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of tricky because...
Oh, here we go.
don't
I'm learning.
Let's see here. How best to do this?
Well, we'll just do the...
There.
Set up right now.
That's
Dead
okay,
air, people.
but I can just flip to them, right?
Yeah, but none
And
of
it won't be anything else. That's okay.
Let's just do this. You can go add, and then scene.
Add scene.
This should work. And then Patreon.
Just do them one at a time.
Hopefully it doesn't crash.
Hey, look at that. Okay, so where do I do the scene thing?
So when you're done with that one, just hide it.
Hi, Gordo.
Click on the eyeball.
Hello.
Okay.
What's happening, man?
Click or hit that plus button.
Oh, just hanging out at the house.
Add scene.
These
Scene.
guys are
And then
getting all
Oh.
technical over here with their
Oh,
overlays.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I had this all set up earlier, but
All right, well, hold on. Aaron's learning. Here we go. Hey, he didn't crash it. Look at that.
I know.
It's on there. It's on the thing.
It lives.
Well,
Is it? Well, there's a delay. Let's see if it pops up on the stream.
about 10
Is it going to pop up on the stream?
And
Yeah! It popped up on the stream. 10-second delay. Hey, let's give a shout out first and foremost to our most venereal, nay, venerable sponsor, Matula Plumbing. Matula! Shit rolls downhill. Don't be at the bottom. Your number 2 is our number 1 priority. Your shit is our bread and butter. Angie's List. So, bread and butter? Angie's List. Super Service Award winner back in 2011. 1-1 is the only one that matters. Sorry, I covered you up there, Ethan. Hey, if you need your shits piped out, call the master of poopers himself, Jerry Matula. He'll wear the booties for you. Here we go. Scene. Hey, Evergroove Studio.
yeah.
We love Evergroove. Ethan is part of the Evergroove family.
Go check them out. They're awesome.
Yeah, Evergroove's awesome. State of the art.
I have to peek up above the sign.
I know, it's great.
Ever groovy.
Yeah, and they are groovy forever, baby. Evergroove Studio. Evergroove is certainly my favorite studio. They're the official recording studio of motherfucking Ruckus and a bunch of other bands. They do some really amazing stuff. And right now, they are doing a special to help out with artists who are affected by the coronavirus and find themselves a little short of cash these days because of everything that's going on. They are offering pay what you can mastering right now. They are also offering discounts on mixing.
Hit 'em up.
And what else are they doing? They're doing free mix critiques.
Yeah.
That's another thing they're doing. I didn't know this, but I guess mix critiques are always free at Evergroove Studios. At Evergroove Studios. Either way, they're giving away the farm right now.
Evercrode.
Really. Everchode Studios.
Intercrode Studios.
Intertrode Studios. Inatech Studios. No, they're really doing amazing stuff, and they are looking to help out the community. hit them up. Go to evergroove.com and get in touch with Jenny and Brad and hit them up about your next project. Dude, you have no reason not to hit these folks up, man. It really is pretty amazing. Let's see. Ad scene. What's FTB?
That's Fade to Black. So what
Fade to Black. Not intro, not Matula. Oh,
and the scene.
And scene. Let's see. Can I go over here and then?
You can add it to that scene if you want. So these are scenes. Those are sources. So you're adding
Scenes and sources. Scenes
The
and
MF
sources.
tutorial presents.
Mikey's still on Matula. Mutiny Information Cafe. This is a Mutiny transmission. Mutiny Transmissions is a media service division of Mutiny Information Cafe here in Denver, Colorado. They are keeping the coffee window open. Last I checked, they did board up all their windows because they're not able to function at full capacity right now, like a lot of businesses. But they had some amazing local artists go in there and paint up the boards outside their windows. It looks amazing, and they do have a walk-up coffee window. So if you need a cup of joe, head on over to Mutiny Information Cafe. I also think they're doing online sale of books and records and comics and everything. Everybody's doing what they can to survive, man. So do what you can to support Mutiny because they support the shit out of everything that is cool here in Denver. Really an amazing company, man. Stop by. Tell them the boys sent you. Oh, here we go.
Wait for it.
RocketSpace Rehearsal Studios, another company that you should look to support. They have also boarded up their windows while we're all hunkering down to get through the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think the best thing you could probably do is book some studio time in advance. Yeah, I'll bet they have something set up for that. Support RocketSpace, man. Bands are good because of them, because they go practice there.
Do they have a first available slot? Like, can you book for first available whenever that becomes available?
That would be really cool. Actually, we should suggest that to Kate. Can you set up a first available booking? And then just on the ass end of it, start calling people up and going, hey, we're back in business. Come on down here and use your time. I mean, there's got to be something.
That seems like, there's got to be a way that we can get in their corner there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to. Let's see. Is there a Flipside one? There is no Flipside one. Okay, that's okay.
Imagine if you will.
Imagine if you will the Flipside logo. Wait. How do I remove this from the scene? Scene!
Yeah, you could do that. You're gonna have to remove all
or what do I do? Just hit the eyeball?
Just hit the eyeball for all of them.
I need an adult.
For all of them.
Just hit your eyeball.
Just hit the eyeball, okay? Black it all out. All right. Imagine, if you will, a Flipside Music logo right where Ethan is sitting. Flipside Music, everything you want, nothing that you don't. Largest selection of effects pedals in the region and probably even beyond that. It's a really amazing company. They make really good stuff. Go order some pedals off the internet. They make amazing shit. And then...
Stomp their boxes.
Stomp their boxes.
Stomp their boxes,
stomped a few boxes in my day. Yeah. Stomp them down because it's the only way they fit in the dumpster. You got to stop down your boxes or the garbage man gets really bad that you don't take care of your recycling. Gotta
It's
break
all
down
true.
Your boxes.
It's all
That's
true.
a kitchen rule. Hey, I want to give a shout out especially to the brave souls who back us via a small recurrent contribution on patreon.com/MF Ruckus. You guys make the goddamn world go round. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the show, the podcast, the band, of course, coming out to shows and helping us do everything we need to do to keep this ship afloat. Our patrons get access to early and exclusive content. I've been really laying it on thick with the content lately, just to let people know how much I really, really appreciate it. And once I get through all the stuff I've got planned to give, I'm just going to start giving away the voice recorder notes on my phone. I just appreciate you guys so fucking much. Thank you. To become a part of our Patreon, go to patreon.com/MF Ruckus. I'm here with Mikey Peterson from the Nug Nation and Burn Studios. We're talking about many things. We're talking about the show. We're talking about the future of streaming and content distribution and all the rest of it. Dude, first of all, Mikey, can I just say, like, how much I appreciate you letting me be a part of all this as long as you have? Like,
oh, I'd be screwed without you. Are you kidding me? You've led the personality to basically 75% of all the characters, so I kind of need you at this point.
Well, I really appreciate it, and you could have gotten any bum off the street to do silly voices for you. Being a voice actor is not that hard. I really do appreciate everything that you've done for us, and helping with the DVD, and promoting our band all these years, and just like helping us make shit happen, man. It really does mean a difference, and I'm really happy to just be a part of not just the show, but being able to be around and observe what you're building.
The growth.
Because, well, a really important part of it is I've learned at the Nug Nation and applied them to the way that we run the band.
Got it.
Like that has been a huge thing. Like I've over the last few years since I've been a part of the show, since I've been a part of all the projects over here, I have started to look at how to run the band more like a channel, more like niche content, more, I've been learning all these terms from you, and I have noticed in just the last few years since I've started doing that, how much we've grown, how much our fan base has become more engaged as a result, and how our numbers, like, across the board have gone up. And I really do owe so much of that to what I learned coming in here and just hanging around. So I just want to say thank you for that.
I appreciate that. And it goes both ways, right? Like I've always looked up to you and the rest of the guys from the band because, like I said, going back to the beginning of our conversation, you guys have stuck with it through thick and thin. Like for the core group of you guys, you haven't stopped, and I love it.
It's been a very long time,
and that's where I think you and me see the same thing and get along so well, is when it comes down to the grind and the hustle of what we do, because we love it so much. Like we're so in love what we do with the content and the process of being able to do that alone. It's like a drug to us, right? And so getting you involved was a no-brainer, because out of anyone I know in this town, as far as an artist or creator or putting out content and just never giving up, it doesn't matter if it makes money. Granted, we know we have to survive and we have to find ways to monetize and keep the art form alive. But even if there wasn't, we'd still be doing it, right? I'd still be filming and producing and doing my thing. You'd still be making music with the rest of the guys. Like I've seen all of us grow literally since teenagers, and we're still doing the thing we've been doing since we met. And that's over a decade of that. And I think it's hard to find people that are that dedicated to it, because so many people get so stuck in their own heads of how other people judge the content or how the world perceives it, where a lot of people will just stop. They'll give up because they don't think they've made it. To us, doing it every day and getting to love and do it is our version of making it. Like I'm the happiest I've ever been in my whole life, because this is what we get to do, and a lot of that comes from, like I said, meeting people like you in those days. Like I said, again, earlier, some of the people that I met early in my youth, if you will, coming out of school, are the people that I'll spend the rest of my life with, knowing and talking about as family and brothers, because people like you taught me that. And we've all supported one another always in those creative endeavors. And that's what I've always wanted to build with this, having that studio there and having this house of creative people that can come and literally just have a place to do their craft where everyone can support it in some capacity.
Right. And one of the major theses, it sounded a lot. Hey Gordo, did that come up on subtitles as feces?
Wait, it's coming. Wait.
Theses, feces. Theses, feces. Theses, Feces.
It's trying to keep up with your diction. So yeah, actually the first one was feces, but then it changed back and forth, and I think it was actually doing the opposite of feces theses rather than theses feces. Whatever.
One of the major theses
I don't know.
of this show. One of the major theses of this show, one of the things we return to over and over again is the importance of relationships. Bye, Gordo. It's the importance of relationships and how you never know who in your circle, like who in your direct sphere of influence, you never know who's going to do what or who's going to become who. You know what I mean? Everyone is going to, unless they're sitting on the couch, like, even if you sat on the couch watching TV and scratching your balls all day, you would get really well informed about television, you know, and scratching your balls. You know what I mean? The people that do the things that they do are going to naturally get better and better at what they do if they keep doing it. And if you keep growing together and your paths continue in a parallel fashion or intersect here and there, like, you are going to run into those same people throughout your life and have that relationship and have that kinship and go, oh, so what are you a master at now? Or what are you getting better at now? Oh, I'm getting better at this. Maybe we can help each other out and use our skill sets together to build something great. And one of the things that we talk about over and over again on this show is about how relationships are tantamount or paramount. They're the most important thing. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you were able to call me and Zach to come down and do voiceovers for a bunch of the episodes that we've done so far, you wouldn't have had those numbers in your phone were it not for the relationships that existed before. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's such an important thing. It's huge. And what I wanted to ask you about is, it's been a while since we've touched base on this, but what's next? Where are we at? Where's the company going? Where's the studio going? What are we working on? What do you expect to see? Even with, because the world's crazy right now, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's just changing. The planet is changing. Culture is changing. Civilization is changing. But it's not going to end. It's going to carry on, and people are going to keep making things and thriving and expanding the boundaries of human possibility. You know, that's going to happen no matter what. What is the future with Burn Studios? Like, what are we doing next? Where are we going?
Oh man, that's a big question to ask.
There's a lot to it. It's a big question. Big
so
picture.
there's two.
When you look out into the next year, like if you and I were to sit down and have this conversation a year from now, what would have to happen for you to feel just totally pumped personally and professionally?
Hey, if we're still here, alive, and the lights are on at the studio and rent's paid, I'm just as happy and excited as I am right now. But in a bigger capacity moving forward, in the next year, what we're looking to see that's going to be very exciting is the official launch of the Burn TV platform, right? The official launch of the Burn TV platform is going to mean a couple of different things. One, it's going to let us go bigger and expand the animation department and really focus more of our time on creating the cartoons and the creativeness that we all love to do. At the same time, we're simultaneously building up the digital media marketing company, and that side of it will continue to thrive. I think the idea is you'll eventually kind of see me. I want to get that part of the business kind of on its own, working on its own, to where once that machine is built, we're kind of just either throwing new projects or new companies into the machine, and it's just such a well-oiled mechanism that it's kind of just running itself. And I have people on staff that are running that side of the business, because there's people that enjoy doing that, and their passion is that as a whole. While I love business and I love building everything, my passion definitely does sit more at the animation side of the house and wanting to create art and creative, obviously.
Right.
So that's why I see a lot of my time spent is more focused on the directing and writing and putting out the cartoon, while I guess you could say, overseeing the digital marketing side of the company and taking my role as one of the executives Burn TV to kind of really help build the business that way. So that's what I want to see, and that's what I'm excited to see. Is I want to see animations coming out of that studio every single day.
Right, and I would love that. I would love to see us producing on a daily basis. That would be a dream come true if we were just in here working like every day, just making shows and cartoons and fun shit for people. Whatever it is. Mostly the cartoons, obviously, but it's something that you and I have talked about over and over again. Is the dream here would be to be doing 90% our shit every single day, and then having the bills paid with the 10% of like stuff we've got to do for other people. You know what I mean? Like just and beyond even the cartoon, like I love walking around in this space with you, like even when things are kind of touch and go, or like even when the roof is leaking or something like that, like I love walking around the studio with you and talking about what we're going to do. You know what I mean? Like, what we could do in here is we can do this. And what we could really do with this piece of content is this. And what'd be really funny is this. Like, I love that. And I love that the whole time we've done that, I have not seen you get jaded and lose sight of where the dream is headed. It's been really, dude, it's really impressive to watch. And it's super inspiring to watch. And it's truly... I
mean, you got to see this thing when we had started the cartoon in that one tiny little room up at Ink Monster, right? And then how it expanded.
I saw it even before Ink Monster.
Yeah, I mean, so, and honestly, go back to all the way to this. Go back to when we were creating your DVD, right? The Dirty Half Dozen.
Right.
And that little makeshift studio that George and I had in the basement of our house that we retrofitted, right? Like, that's where it all really kind of started to take place, right? That was the first little whatever studio or editing suite, if you want to call it. And getting to this point has always been the dream, right? To have a building of our own and a studio of our own, something where we don't have anyone to say what we can and can't do, right? You're there lighting up, smoking weed and doing whatever you want over there. Like we can write our own destiny in that place. We can do what we want, right? It's been what we've been trying and what I've been trying to build for the last 15 years, is to have a place that we can call our own and build and expand. And that place, when you actually dive into it, it's huge. We have so much room for growth over there, and the amount of stuff we can do
underutilizing it at this point.
It's completely underutilized. And
so
granted,
do you need me to move in and do some music for you? Is that what you're saying? You need me to create a studio there and work with you in a professional capacity? That's great.
And that's what I want to do.
Ready.
We're gonna need
look, man, I need to borrow some street cred, and I know that rates are at an all-time low. So I'm just ready. I'm ready, okay? Cut me in, guys. Cut me in.
I'm on board, man.
It's humbling. It's humbling to know that we've made it this far. And yeah, there's been headaches, and there's been times where we're wondering if we're going to be able to make rent, or there's definitely been those moments and those stressful times. But at the end of the day, I've always been confident that, we're on the right path. We'll get to where we want to go. And it's just one foot in front of the other. And I've never stopped that. The one thing I can say is if I've ever had an idea, I will do whatever it takes to make that idea work or to get to it. Sometimes it'll happen in a week. Sometimes it'll take 5 years. It's the same thing when we were creating the action sports films or any other like kind of major projects. It's like I've always seen the end goal, and there's always a way to get there. Right. And as long as, like you said, as long as you're putting one foot in front of the other.
Right.
And as long as you, like you said earlier, as long as you show up, it'll happen. That's all you got to do.
I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the last, and I've learned this a lot through observing you. I mean, experientially myself as well. Like I have all sorts of anecdotal evidence of this, and I'm sure Gordo can back me up on this. Is like I learned the concept of horticultural time. Being able to set goals and aim for something, but realize that anything worth doing is just going to take a long fucking time to build. It just, like, anything organic, anything worth a shit is going to take a very, very long time to build. And that has been, like, I have learned that lesson, like, that has been hammered into my brain, not only from my band, but just being around here, being around the studio, seeing, like, even if you have that opportunity, like, you've made 2 music videos for Redman. You know what I mean? You have done stuff with, you've done 1. Oh, I thought you did more than 1. Okay. Well, you've done a music video. Yeah, you've done other projects with Redman, but, and Afro Man, and we had the Nappy Roots on here, and we sat down with Rittz, and we've been tight, like,
don't forget about
Billy Ray Cyrus, and all the stuff we've done with
this show does not forget about Billy Ray.
Oh no,
this show will never forget about Billy Ray.
We had probably a good streak where we were making Billy Ray Cyrus jokes for probably 10 straight episodes.
Yes,
more.
More. Dude, we ran it into the ground with the Billy Ray Cyrus jokes. But like, you know, especially when you're in an independent band like Gordo and I are, like, we get this idea that, like, oh, we've got our name attached to this other artist, or we got on the bill with this big band, and they're going to take us away from here, and that's going to be our big break, and we're never going to have to work again. You know what I mean? Or that's going to be our ticket to the big time. Like, we're going to blow up. But I have, like, watched that even with the connections that you've managed to meet, the connections you've managed to make, the people you've managed to work with, the support from the brands, and the eyeballs that you've gotten in front of, and the meetings that you've had, it still takes a lot of time and a lot of hard work for anything to happen around here. And we still show up, and sometimes the fucking heat and the AC don't work, and sometimes the fucking roof's leaking, and sometimes, you know what I mean? Like,
that's never bothered me.
Yeah, you know, like, that's something that we have had to get used to, is just, like, slugging it out and going, okay, this is going to be a lot of hard work for a really long time, and I'm up for the challenge, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're committed to your craft, that's what you do. You just stick with it, you know? I think Mikey's a good example of that. It's probably the best example. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my point, is that it's just like, you know, people walk into this place, when I give people the tour, when you give people the tour, like, and I invite them to come to a podcast, they're expecting to show up at, like, some house, some basement with, like, a couple microphones plugged into an iPhone, and they come in here and they see all the stuff that we've built.
This exactly is what they envision. This is exactly what they envision. Right here.
They imagine Gordo's house.
They're like, oh, this room is 8 by 8. Yeah, that's exactly what I expect. Oh, and a couple of cats? Sure. A couple of cats? Great.
I was planning on a couple of cats.
I'll sneeze my fucking whole life long.
Like, I invite him to come on the podcast, and they're like, I'll bet that guy's got a couple of cats I'm going to have to deal with. They just see the pictures of me with my cats, and they're like, at least they're hairless. I guess they're hypoallergenic.
For some reason, they get short shrift, you know? Like, it's always the cats that are the problem. If you're sleeping on somebody's floor, it's the cats that are the problem. I've been in the receiving, end of that. Like, who the fuck is this cat? I'm trying to sleep. Anyway, I digress.
Well, hey, Mikey, I know you got family man stuff to do. I really appreciate you getting on Skype and being patient with us while we, troubleshot all the tech stuff. And more than anything, I really appreciate you giving us a space to experiment and make this work. And I hope that here on our 100th episode, you can see that your investment has gone a long way, and I will show up and help you out with anything that you want to do ever, as long as you live. As long as I live.
Likewise, man. And I'm always here to support you. I'm super proud of you personally, all you guys, really, for sticking all this out. But I've always been super proud of you, Aaron. I've always looked up to you, in a sense, almost like a big brother. Yeah,
which is funny because you're really tall and I'm really short.
I'm taller than my oldest brother too, so that makes sense.
Are you shorter than Val?
But but no, man, I appreciate it. I'm super proud of you guys. I'm very honored that you guys made it to episode 100. I love that it's out of there and out of our studio every week. It's really an honor, and I love that, you know, you guys and everyone can utilize that space in the way that we built it to be utilized. Right.
Yeah, I want to thank both of you guys for allowing me to be involved with it as well. It's been great. I've learned a lot myself.
It's been a lot of fun, man. Gordo, having you involved in this has been fantastic, man. It's been a blast. It's been a real blast. I also want to give a shout out to Tony Lee Wilburn. This would not have happened without Mr. Tony Lee.
TL.
He's
TL on the DL.
He's the one who lit the fuse, man. And I want to give a shout out to John Skibicki. And I want to give a shout out to Adam Zielinski and Ethan Klein and all our friends at Evergroove and all our friends here at the Nug Nation and Max and everybody who just helps us make this show happen. And all the guests who came on who dude, we've had some awesome guests in 100 episodes. You know what I mean? We've had such amazing conversations on here, and it's it's changed my life. It really has. Being involved with the Nug Nation has changed my life. Being on this podcast has changed my life. And I am really excited to do another 100 episodes. I'm really excited to see.
You better have me on for 200.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll have you on for 200.
Yeah.
If you'll have us, dude, by episode 200, you'll be behind some big desk with a receptionist, and I won't be able to get in without an appointment, man. Because that's the way that it's headed, dude. You're gonna be the Gary Vaynerchuk of weed cartoons, man. Seriously.
He's gonna be the Mr. Wonderful.
If there's one thing I can say,
Mr. Wonderful.
There's one thing I can say: you're not going to be too far behind Aaron because you'll be my secretary at the time. So.
You better bring me a card on Secretary's Day, bitch. And I'm not sucking anybody's dick again.
Again.
Damn.
That ship has sailed. Well, hey guys,
I love you guys.
I really appreciate. Yeah, I love you too. And thanks so much for agreeing to do the Skype call. I'm really glad we're keeping it going week to week. Dude.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't be in the studio with you, but you know.
Dude, Mikey, I get it, man.
It's the next best thing. You got to take care of yourselves, you know.
We all got to be smart and responsible right now and just do our part. You know what I mean? And try and learn from it and try and make the best of it. I mean, everything that can be said about what is going on has already been said by 7 billion people because it's happening everywhere on the fucking planet, you know?
Yep.
And my stepdad, at least 15 million more times by my stepdad. I love you, Martin, but you're killing me, man. You're killing me.
I just mean that it's if I could take away only one positive thing, and I've thought of tons of positive things because that's just the way my brain works. But if I could only pick one, it's that this is common humanity, at its finest. It is something that is really closing the gap in our differences, and we're all having the same conversation, all fucking 7 or 8 billion of us, however many of us there are. And so there's really not a lot that I'm going to say about it on this particular episode, except that, I'm really glad that we're doing the smart thing and staying safe and doing our part and still managing to show up every week and have a kick-ass podcast. I'm really thrilled about that, man. And I'm really thrilled that you guys are willing to come on and play. So with that, I'm going to close out the episode. Thank you so much to everybody who's been listening and watching on the streams. Ethan, thank you so much for getting this dialed in. I know you wanted to fucking kill yourself at one point. It's going
to get better. It's just, this was rough.
It can only get better.
Yep.
It can only get better. All right.
These are extenuating circumstances after all,
Yeah, and we still showed up. That's amazing.
We did it.
That's fucking amazing. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up for the 100th episode and all 100 episodes of the motherfucking podcast. It has been an honor. We're not planning on quitting anytime soon. And stay tuned for tons more content coming out of Burn TV Studios. Oh my God, we forgot to mention Burn TV Studios in the sponsors section. That's what we left out. You're good.
It's just associated. People know it now.
Yeah. I mean, we did a whole episode on it, but still, it's like, oh, what sponsor are we forgetting? Nope, nobody. Anyway, thank you so much for all your support of the motherfucking podcast, guys. I'm Aaron Howell.
I'm Gordo.
Mikey Peterson.
And we love you guys. See you next time.
Later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.